Leeds United are heading to Wembley for the first time in a long while, and let's be honest, it is a huge day for the fans. We all get a nice little trip down to London. Even if you're not in Wembley, you're still in the atmosphere, so everyone in Leeds likely in Millennium Square. And it's especially huge when it's so rare that we get such a big game that means so much and we all get a nice day out. But why does it all matter so much? I decided to ask someone who has a little bit more experience with all this than I do. It's Dan Moylan from The Square Ball. Hello, Dan. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's all right. So I figured because have you done Wembley before? I think you've done Wembley before. So Dan has done Wembley before. We'll ignore the fact that there's a very visible cut there. We won't go into details. So you've done Wembley before. Can you run me through that a little bit? Your past experiences and how fun they've definitely been.
Yeah, so 1992, Old Wembley, Charity Shield, or Community Shield as it is now, beat Liverpool 4-3. That was great day out, but it always feels inconsequential, I think, does the Community Shield. It's a glorified friendly, isn't it? League Cup final against Villa 1996, got hammered. It was awful, terrible day out. I was just shy of my 18th birthday then, but may have had a shandy on the way down, and it all just felt... Yeah, I just wanted to. But yeah, it started at about 9:30 in the morning. Game kicked off at about 5:30. It was awful. It was a mess in every sense of the word. So didn't have a nice time then. As for new Wembley, we're talking Doncaster playoff final in 2008. And of course, Cardiff playoff final before that against Watford in 2006. So seen a lot. And
was that one on Millennium Stadium rather than Wembley?
That's right. Yes, I can't remember exactly why, because I'm on a new Wembley didn't open until 2000.
It wasn't open yet, was it? No.
Yeah. So they were still doing it there then. Yeah, that was a long day out down to Cardiff. That was my dad's birthday as well, which actually, on the time of recording, it's today as we record this. So yeah, it's the anniversary of that game, and a very bad day out also then. So I think I'd like to have a nice day out if at all possible this time.
That'd be quite nice. So, in terms of the day out, you got any big plans for the weekend? You planning on going anywhere this Saturday and Sunday specifically? I know there's whatever is being cooked up by Katie happening, but didn't you say something about a match ball happening in a hotel room on a table or something?
Something like that. Yeah. All good things happen on tables in hotel rooms. No, we've got we're doing the match ball from an Airbnb, managed to snaffle an Airbnb right next to Wembley Park tube station. So just at the end of Wembley Way, Olympic Way as it's officially known. It's like a 1-minute walk from there, if that, on the main road. So if you know Wembley, it's right opposite the McDonald's. So it's an absolutely champion spot. Going down on Saturday because the train tickets were just a lot cheaper doing a Saturday, Monday, because it's obviously the bank holiday weekend. So down on Saturday, and then back on Monday. But I've realised my train gets into King's Cross at 4:00, FA Cup final day. By the time I get to Wembley Park, it's going to be about FA Cup final kicking out time or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Could be a very, very Mancunian affair, but we'll see. So down on Saturday, going to have some drinks maybe on Saturday evening, nothing too heavy because I've got my 12-year-old son with me, and then maybe a bit of food, and then it'll be we'll just see what Sunday brings, won't we? Going to the pub close to Wembley, and then to the game, and hopefully that's nice. And if it's not, then afterwards is going to be pretty boring. But yeah, we've got the match ball to do after the game. So the Airbnb, it's a 5-minute walk from Wembley itself. So assuming the internet actually works, then we'll be able to live stream the final match ball of the season. And I hope it's a glorious affair rather than the Grief Cast, which was the show that we did post Derby playoff semi-final, which gave us the idea to do the match ball actually to live stream after the games. Fingers crossed for a better outcome compared to that one.
There were some incredible clips coming out of that Grief Cast, though. The things that Michael called an 8-year-old child are absolutely impeccable. I think the plan for me is, annoyingly, I've got work on this Saturday, which goes until something like 9 p.m. So what I'm doing is I'm heading over to Leeds, where I'm just stealing my brother's PC for the day. Might do a stream or something, but from there it's going to be car down from Leeds at something like 6 a.m. on Sunday. Hope we get down for fun pub times, and then desperately hope the day is more fun than the last time we did playoffs, basically.
Yeah, we did a show. We just recorded a show before this. And Michael was just saying, actually, one of his memories from previous playoff finals is that you think you've got loads of time on the day, but actually it gets eaten away very, very quickly because London's big and it's spread out, and before you know it, it's an hour to get from point A to point B, and before you know it, like I say, it's an hour or two before kickoff, and you start to think, right, well, I better get into the stadium now, because it's not Ellen Road where you can just rock up a couple of minutes before kickoff. You know your seat, you know the layout like the back of your hand. There's just that little bit of uncertainty, unfamiliarity. Wembley's got escalators in it, so you've got to get to the right turnstile, and you've got to get your escalators up like it's a big shopping centre, and bulk at the prices of the beer in there. You know, all that kind of discovering a new place kind of feeling about it, because it's that much bigger. So yeah, your time does get eaten away before you know it with the transport and travel situation in London.
Yeah, I will never be quite as smug as I will be in Wembley, knowing that I am one of the probably 40,000 Leeds fans that doesn't drink, and I'm like, fantastic. I'm not shilling out however much it's going to cost. But compared to the average match, it feels like this means a bit more. So, to you, what exactly does Wembley mean? Because from like the position that I'm in, I'm looking at it and going, this is like the big one. It's the stadium that you sort of want to see your team playing. And although like a championship playoff final is like less fun than an FA Cup final or something like that, it's still something big. And I think the reason there's so many people desperate to get tickets is you don't know when you'll next get a trip to play in that ground, if that all makes sense.
It's funny. I think I've talked myself into believing I don't like Wembley because it feels big and it's corporate and it's red and it's in London and it's not Leeds. All those things that you tell yourself. But then as soon as it's come around, the opportunity has presented itself. You know, the tickets have gone on sale, the scramble has begun. And this week in the run up to it, it's just a lost week, basically. There's no work getting done besides thinking about and planning to be at Wembley. So, yeah, it means a lot. And I was saying, like, it's my birthday sort of next week, just after the playoff final. And I'm turning 46 this time. And this potentially could be, if we win it, it's the first time I've seen Leeds win anything meaningful at Wembley or a final in my lifetime. And it might never happen again. You know, not to be morbid about it, but another 46 years on top of that takes me to 92, which is quite old to make it that far. So yeah, I think you've got to savor these things when they come around. And I've been speaking when we've done our podcasts recently. I've been speaking about trying to look at it, embrace it as an opportunity rather than something to be feared. And that's how I feel about it. You've got to kind of embrace the jeopardy when it comes to these finals, where it's all or nothing, it's death or glory, isn't it? And I know that that's not stuff that sits comfortably necessarily with Leeds fans, but I think maybe hopefully the nature of the second leg of the semi-final, where we did something very typically un-Leedsy and absolutely thumped Norwich, has restored a bit of belief in people, and maybe the belief that we can turn it on when the occasion demands. So I genuinely don't know how it's going to go. I can't call it, but what I do know is that I want to have a nice time with my mates and create a memory. And I don't know if that's just because I'm, hurtling now, probably already in middle age or whatever, and just have that awareness of my own mortality or something like that. But I want to look back on this one in 10 years and go, that was just one of the best days ever. And know while I'm living through it, it's going to be a day that I'll remember forever.
Yeah, I think either way, it doesn't really matter what the result is. Well, it does matter what the result is. But I'm in my over in Blackpool situation, and the two square ball walks that we've done, I've basically come away from them with like a really great group of friends. But because I'm over here and everyone's sort of over there or in London or spread around the shop, it's tricky to sort of say hi in person. So I'm also seeing it as it's a great opportunity to get everyone together and say hello and all that fun stuff, which should be quite nice, I'm hoping. We'll see, basically. So going through that, something that's a little bit confusing to me, I'm not sure how well it'll land, is the atmosphere in the ground. Because as far as I can tell, it's going to be 40,000 Leeds fans, plus however many have managed to get tickets in the Southampton end. All having a bit of a complaint about Rishi Sunak. So what sort of direction do you think the vibe in the ground is going to go into?
Well, there's two things I think I found with the Doncaster final, that it's a bit weird in that you're not sat with the people you're normally sat with. It's a different view. There's a different sense of occasion about the whole thing. But I also remember from the Donny final, and I have genuinely just blanked most of it out now. I can just sort of vaguely remember how it felt. Was the singing beforehand, seeing half of Wembley like bedecked in white and singing Marching On Together. It's quite something, and it's quite moving. It's quite a profound thing. I think it'll be absolutely rocking. Certainly until kickoff, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But like I said, I just fall back on the experience of the playoff semi and what happened that night against Norwich. It felt like one for the ages, and I hope we can carry that into the final. And I know that the fans will turn up and do their bit, and I'm just encouraged by the idea that the players will harness it and will respond to it rather than be scared of it.
Yeah, because that felt like how in the match against Derby a couple of years back, that sort of felt like the response from the players. It was a bit. I feel like Kiko was very Kiko-y because of the fans sort of getting loud and maybe getting in his head, and he's like, I don't want to let anyone down, so he's overthinking everything. Whereas on Thursday, it felt like it was less that and more the players are sort of taking it in and going, all right, so we'll perform for you, and sort of growing into it rather than shying away. If that
Yeah,
sort of, yeah.
yeah. I've kind of revised my view of the Derby game, because I did wonder if the occasion got to the players a little bit, and I remember seeing clips. I don't know if it was Derby players or whether it was our players. Have said in interviews that you couldn't really hear each other on the pitch because of it's a very febrile atmosphere. It was just off the chain that night, same as it was against Norwich, and then it just suddenly it collapsed. Everything unfolded in the wrong way, and we were kind of stunned. But I don't know. I can't even say. Did the atmosphere get to them that night, or was it just a moment that flipped the whole script and gave Derby that window where they just. I just remember them just running through us over and over again. He's scored again. Like, what are we doing? And yeah, it was the classic Leeds are falling apart again, wasn't it? But I don't know. Norwich had that same atmosphere, but the players, they were whipping the crowd up. So I don't know. I don't know I don't know exactly how it affects players. I suppose it's an unknowable thing, isn't it? Because we're fans, and there's a clear line drawn between us and how the players respond. But yeah, something didn't quite land right with that night, and I hated the scarves as well that were put on the chairs against Derby. But then it looked amazing against Norwich, and I'll forever have good memories of all those scarves being held aloft at the match, together that happened before the game. So it's funny, isn't it? You tell yourself all these different versions of things, of this happened or that happened, and really, I don't suppose we'll ever know, because we're not professional footballers, sadly.
Yeah. When it comes to sort of the atmosphere in these games, I think the reason I'm a little bit more confident is I've been to something like 3 matches this season, and I was lucky enough that it was including the Leicester game at home and the Norwich match at home. And Elland Road just was bouncing throughout both of those matches, and I'm just quite comfortable in the idea that, yeah, I think these players can handle it. I don't know whether it being Wembley will affect anything, but I don't see why it should, because it's just like, as you've mentioned, it's the same pitch, it's just a bit of a bigger stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting thing. I can't quite get my head around it, but I suppose we're gonna see on Sunday, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll find out one way or another.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, with regards to the atmosphere at Elland Road, it's interesting you pick those games out, because they have been the highlights in terms of the atmosphere this season. The ones where the atmosphere has been a bit flat have been where we've faced like a low block, a deep defence, where we're just knocking it around and can't quite seem to work our way through it. And there's that frustration, because you can see that Leeds were clearly better than the other team. Whereas the games where the atmosphere has been better has been when stuff has been riding on it. Like the Ipswich game was similar, where there was a lot of riding on it. And obviously a big home win helps. And the stakes, the high stakes against Leicester helped. Playoff semi-final helped. So yeah, I'm like you. I've talked myself into believing that the death or glory feel that kind of that hangs over this final is going to be harnessed in a good way. And Farke's spoken about it, didn't he, in the run up to the Norwich second leg, about us being a team for the big occasion. So I just hope we are. I just hope we are.
yeah, we'll find out on Sunday, I guess. And I think that's what's contributed to this sort of like mad dash for tickets. You'll see in the group chat that the walk people are in, that everyone's been like, right, okay, so I know someone who knows someone who once connected with a person on LinkedIn that might work at Wembley, or did 4 years ago. So maybe that'll work out. What's your sort of feeling on how the club's handled the ticket situation? Because as we speak, the first batch of like member tickets is finished up.
Yeah.
Would you say the club's handled it reasonably well, so everyone with a decent amount of attendance has managed to get in, or is it sort of handled a little bit iffily? Because I quite like how it's gone so far, to be honest.
Yeah, you're never going to please everybody, are you? You're always going to piss off a certain number of people who think they not deserve a ticket or entitled to one, but want one. They want a ticket desperately,
Yeah.
and we can't ignore the fact that demand massively outstrips supply. So you're always going to upset somebody. And they've obviously drawn the line at, it was 9 purchases, wasn't it, for members, which gives everybody who's above that line the chance to get there, guarantees them a ticket. Same with season ticket holders. And it's going to be a bit of a bun fight for the rest, and people will get unhappy, and the queue will kick them out again because that element of it has not been great. I think there were clearly software issues, but I think that's probably down to SeatGeek, isn't it? The ticketing platform that they run. It's the same as any other SeatGeek platform. So whether that's a server issue on their side or they've not beefed it up enough, I don't know. But I suppose if you want to kind of offer a bit of mitigation for the club, that they've handed this to SeatGeek, and the scale of Leeds United's platform on SeatGeek has not been tested to this extent probably before, with the demand for tickets for Wembley. So I understand from that point of view. I also understand that it really annoys people when they can't get tickets or they get them in the basket and it boots them to 12,000 in the queue. It's not fair. So, improve your systems.
Yeah, I think it also doesn't help that the club haven't dealt with Wembley ticketing at the same price. So there's a lot of big adaptation that's got to go on there, and sort of, the system won't have dealt with this many Leeds fans simultaneously going, I could get a ticket here.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it's SeatGeek though, because like the template for Wembley, the seats where you can pick the individual seats, it looks like a SeatGeek template. I think in the same way that Ellen Road's got a template now. So SeatGeek will have sold, let's say, gigs before, concerts, games, whatever, at Wembley. So they must have that in their system, which allowed Leeds to get it on sale so quick and to distribute the tickets in the way that SeatGeek do. Like where you click the link in the email and it downloads to your phone. So I suspect whilst it's easy to kind of chuck brickbats at the club for this one, I would say.
I wasn't chucking it at the club. I was just saying the flood of Leeds players will have
Yeah, not necessarily you were saying it, but the general consensus is, the club have made a mess of this again. It's not good enough, and it's not good enough when your platform doesn't work. But I suspect it's probably on SeatGeek's side as much as anything. But then again, if they've handled demand for Wembley events before, then they should be up to snuff. So hopefully the club will be able to say to them, "This ain't great. Sort it out."
Yeah, well, you can't really blame someone when the third-party vendor has a little bit of an issue. But in terms of having a little bit of an issue, you've tried to be as optimistic as you can throughout the season, as have I, consistently, to the chagrin of most of my YouTube comments. So what's the vibe like right now with you? I'm guessing Michael's in a depressive, comatose, hyperventilating state. Moscow is an enigma. Rob, similarly, an enigma from time to time. So how's the feeling right now? Are we optimistic? Are we pessimistic? Are we spooked?
Yeah, well, we're all sort of loosely flitting between one thing and another. I mean, I have moments where I'm terribly excited about it, and then I kind of remember what's at stake, and there's a game to play, and I'm kind of excited by the day. I'm looking for, like I was saying before, I'm looking forward to the day out. I want to see my mates. I want to have some beers, just mix with people that I like, and just create a memory. But then I keep reminding myself there's a football game at the center of all this that needs to kind of go well for the framing of the whole thing of how I remember it. So yeah, I always tend towards the side of optimism, I think, and I still do. I think if particularly off the back of that playoff semi-final second leg, if we can carry that into the final, all good. I think we've got a really good chance. How it's going to go, I don't know at this stage. I wouldn't like to say that I'm more than 55% confident, and that's just based on sort of wishful thinking and hope. I think really the last 5%. Other than that, I think it's the toss of a coin. So we'll see, won't we? But yeah, Rob was saying when we recorded just before this that he hadn't really thought about the final and the game itself until we sat down and started talking about it, and then he got terribly nervous. So I emotionally a little bit all over the place. But I haven't slept properly since the playoff semi-final second leg because that was so exciting. And I got home and watched the full game back. I didn't get to bed until like 3:00 in the morning, I think it was, because I knew I wouldn't sleep. Just the adrenaline of the night game and everything that had happened. It was brilliant. And yeah, I keep some sort of staying up late, but then waking up early, thinking about it. It's all I'm thinking about now. Just in a very general kind of, this is happening. It needs to be Sunday or Saturday rather to get down there first. But yeah, just the whole thing of traveling. It feels like an event, I think is what I think I'm saying. So that's how I feel about it. Like, there's this big event coming up that I'm excited about, also a bit nervous. And I just keep coming back to the idea that I want it to go well. And I suppose if you could wish things into existence, then great. But sadly, you can't, can you? But I think we've got reason to be quietly optimistic. I would say Southampton probably feel the same. But as for the vibe, it's all right. I think that second leg helped.
At the end of the day, it's a game of football, isn't it? No matter what, next season, there'll be more games of football. It just depends on who we're playing those games of football against. So this season, I, until now, had 0 football-related superstitions at all. Nothing. None. I've accidentally formed a couple over the past 2 games that I've shown up at, being the Leicester one and the Norwich one. Specifically, that both of those times, I've said hello to people from the walk beforehand. I've headed into the ground a little bit earlier than I would have normally. And I've given Katie from the walk a hug beforehand because you know her. She does attack hugs quite often. Have you got any little superstitions, any little bits and bobs that you've got going into a game? Because I know that your dad likes to leave early. I don't know whether he will for the Wembley match if he's going, because Wembley ticket prices, oh boy, let's get the value out of those. But have you got anything like that?
And yeah, quick cut there because your dog was barking, wasn't it? So I'll answer your question now. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have any superstitions. I don't wear replica shirts, but I don't know if that's just an age thing or the point at which I stopped wearing them was related to superstition or anything like that. The only one that I do, I think, is in the gangway that I go through in the East Stand. I always high five the top of the gangway, like the concrete plinth, the lintel thing. Yeah. It's got little Adidas signs on it at the minute, but I always high five that in and high five it out. But I've been and the gangway, when you get to the end, obviously, and I go up the stairs, but I mostly go to the left, but I went to the right for the playoff semi-final, and I thought, am I somehow influencing this? So it still plays on my mind, even though I know it's nonsense and I have no effect on the outcome. I still have these little moments of thinking, is this the right thing?
Have I done the right thing? Have I caused a problem here by accident, sort of thing?
Yeah, and I wore a baseball cap. I don't wear caps ever as a rule, but I wore a baseball cap to the semi-final second leg. So is that the lucky cap? And it was sent to me from America as well, like quite a rare thing over here to see the one that I've got.
Yeah,
is that now the unjinx? Is that the Midas touch cap? I don't know.
So what you've got to do on Sunday is, no matter where your seat is, even if it's right next to you as you come out of the walkway bit, you need to walk to the right, loop around if you need, and you need to be wearing that hat, because otherwise, I don't know, we might have problems. You can never tell.
I think I might be sat in block 202 by posh seats, by the way, right next to the royal box and the walkway and the stairs up to get the trophy. So yeah, that's come about just like through somebody we're trying to do some work with on the podcast. Like a businessman has offered me 2 tickets. So I think I'll be sat there, and it'll be near the investors as well. So it'll be interesting to see who's nearby. So I might not even get away with a baseball cap or any silly behaviour or screaming at Rishi Sunak. So I'll have to behave myself. But it's the chance to be near a potential little trophy lift at the end was just irresistible. It'd be amazing. Again, talking about memories for a lifetime. So that's why I've been giddy, because those tickets have come up. So I'm like, oh, wow, that could be amazing. It could be amazing.
You're not going to say no to the tickets in the snazzy seats, are you?
No.
Especially when you don't know when we're going to Wembley next.
Exactly. I don't know if it's full corporate or whether it's just the posh seats next to the royal box or what, but it's like, I can't say no to this, can I? What if I bump into Will Ferrell and then I'll be able to say, I bumped into Will Ferrell at a final at Wembley when I was sat next to the royal box, and I shouted abuse at the Prime Minister, and Leeds won, and they lifted a trophy in front of me and they walked past me to get it.
Oh, that'd be so perfect. I shouted abuse at Will Ferrell. For some reason, I saw Michael Phelps, and then I remembered that he was one of our 1,000 investors. I saw Rishi Sunak have a bit of a cry. You can't have a nicer day than that, really, can you?
No, it'd be a great day out. I say that's all I want is a great day out with some photographs.
Yeah. In terms of things going really well, this has been a pretty good one, at least according to most people. You've still got some people saying to sack Daniel Farke, which is baffling to me. But how would you summarise the season so far? Because I'm still in the camp of, if August was less of a nightmare and Rads would have maybe gotten the sale done a little bit sooner, that could have been nice. I think it would have probably been automatic for us. But how would you sort of rate the season?
Is it? I don't know. And this is a rhetorical question. Is it all framed around the outcome? I don't know. To a certain extent, I think it's been really good, hasn't it? Objectively, it's been really, really good because we got a huge points total. We won a load of games. We played some really good football at times. Sometimes we came unstuck, it didn't quite work, but that's just the nature of the championship, isn't it? You can't play a 46-game season and expect to win them all. I think even Man City don't get that luxury in the Premier League. So I think sometimes like our expectations are magnified beyond what is reasonable. But I also get it because that's just what being a football fan is. You go into every game wanting your team to win, hoping they're going to win, fearing the worst, hoping for the best, and think you're going to get the best. So objectively, it's been really good, hasn't it? The end of the season and the nature of the end of the season will frame how we view it. I think it'll be looked at as a maybe not as in the same way the Bielsa season was, which felt. I think there was a desperation that underpinned the Bielsa promotion, the 16 years failure to get promoted. We were carrying that around. Whereas actually now we've been up and come back down again. And do you know what? Premier League wasn't all that really. It wasn't much fun for a lot of the time because you lose a load of games and it's a struggle. And there's VAR and the refs and people cheating and all the rest of it. All the stuff, all the stuff we've convinced ourselves is the reason why we hate top flight football. So I think I view this one differently. I view that it's been more functional as a season. It's been a bit more necessary, but when I say necessary, I don't mean this in the same way that it was necessary when we went up under Bielsa. That was emotionally necessary. This is financially necessary, I think. Otherwise, we have to raise a load of money, sell a load of players, and try and rebuild it all again, which might, it might not necessarily be a bad thing if we do stay down and we have another good season and get promoted. But it'd be nice to see us just retain some players and build on what we've got rather than having to chuck a load of it in the bin for financial reasons and start again. I don't know. So overall, how will it be viewed? I mean, if we lose on penalties, maybe people will say we were so unlucky and it came down to a single kick in at the end of the day, which is also vaguely terrifying. If we put in a good performance and lose, will people then think we're unlucky? If we win, it's been a great season. So yeah, I think the outcome kind of weighs on it to a certain extent, but by any objective measure, it's been good, hasn't it? I think. Yeah.
It's been you get promoted most of the time. We're just a bit unlucky that Ipswich have decided to break the league a little bit. Same for Leicester, but I don't want to give them that much credit because
we know why.
Shall we? No, let's not go there. So I know you said you don't want to do them, but do you have any predictions for the match other than predicting that it'll be a great day in the morning and then the nerves kick in?
I don't. I genuinely don't. I don't know how it's going to go. I just want us to show up. We've not shown up in any final I've seen us playing, apart from, like I say, Charity Shield, which was not really a final. It was it's a glorified friendly. So show up and give yourself a chance is what I think. That's what we need to do. I fancy us to do that on the balance of probabilities. Yeah, it'll be a really, really hard fought contest. Potentially. I mean, if we were to turn up and absolutely blow them away like we did Norwich, that'd be great. Don't expect it. I think it to be a bit more cagey than that. But I'd like to see us get after them. But I don't know how Farke's going to set us up. Will he revert to a 4-3-3, try and nullify their midfield, try and flatten the game a little bit to a certain extent and nick one late on? Will we go all out? I don't know what to expect. And you know what? I quite like that idea because I think we've known what to expect for the vast majority of this season. And the most fun games are when there's been higher jeopardy and we don't know what to expect. As you were saying, like the Leicester game, the Norwich playoff semi-final, where the stakes were higher, we didn't know what was going to turn up. Whereas the games where we've known what to expect, Sunderland at home, Blackburn at home, we expected to win those games and we didn't, and it was crap. So just turn up, Leeds. That's all I ask, and that's what I hope for. And I am leaning on the side of optimism that that's what they will do.
Yeah. Quick further question. Would you prefer if it was like the Norwich second leg where we just score early, we score twice, and it's an absolute piece of piss? Or do you think it would be more fun to have that release like in the Leicester game where it's like 80-something minutes and we're like, holy shit, we might have done it?
I suppose it's like the season in microcosm, isn't it? Because the whole season comes down to this one game. So you could have this whole game and the whole season come down to a single moment right at the end. You kind of distill it. You keep distilling it down and down and down further. I don't care. Honestly, I do not care. Just win it. If we go ahead early and we were to do exactly what we did against Norwich, where you kind of get that growing sense of momentum that this is our day, I'd really enjoy that. I'd really enjoy that.
Yeah.
To score a late winner, To win it 1-0 would blow that out of the water. There'd be exceptional feelings for different reasons. It's beyond my control. Is it a cop out to say that? It's beyond my control, so whatever will be, will be.
It is a bit, I think, but it's a fine cop out. It's one of those cop outs where it's like, yeah, go on then, it's all right.
The better feeling is the late winner. The better feeling, but again, the jeopardy of it gets raised higher and higher and higher, and makes you feel dreadful. But the release is it's second to none. It's a last minute winner, isn't it? It's a last minute winner. It's the best feeling in the world. So a last minute winner that caps off the whole season will be the best feeling in the world afterwards. But thinking about it now, yeah, the stakes are high enough, aren't they? It's death, like I said, it's death or glory. So however we achieve the glory, I don't really mind. But yeah, last minute winner, very seductive idea. But let's see how the game unfolds. If it gets to 70 minutes in and it's 0-0 and Southampton are attacking, I'd probably take a Leeds goal at that point.
Yeah. I think the dream scenario in my head is, it'll be terrifying at the time. We'll go 90 minutes. Archie Gray scores his first official goal for Leeds.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Yes. I think I've run through all these scenarios in my head, and now you've just planted another one in there. I've thought about Jorginho dancing. Jorginho scores a goal and dances around on the pitch afterwards. He's singing all the songs. It's actually my thoughts about Jorginho are all related to how he would celebrate rather than the actual game itself. But just that big daft boyish puppy grin, dancing around the Wembley pitch. I've thought about stuff like that. Have I seen a score in a final? No.
I definitely haven't.
No, I haven't. No, 96 we didn't score. We lost 3-0. Watford we lost. Oh, yeah, Doncaster we lost. Yeah, I've not even seen a score. I don't even know what that feels like.
I would also take Bamford scoring a last-minute winner just because imagine the vindication. Imagine all the people that at the start of the season were saying that we need to get him solved. Imagine how that'd feel.
Just bounces off his arse. That'd be great.
Oh, perfect.
And I'll take any of it. And
elbows it in and somehow VAR doesn't give it as a handball.
Yeah, it runs away to the Southampton fans, cupping his ears, that kind of thing. Or us, whichever.
So normally I sort of close these out by asking what's going on with your channel. Everyone sort of knows what's been going on with the square ball because it's rather large. But how's it been going this season so far? Has it been a little bit, because you've got your midweek games as well, so I'm imagining that sort of like fills up the schedule like an absolute monster.
Yeah, I mean, around the turn of the year, I started counting up how many shows we do, and including like the member stuff, which is available like on a separate feed. We do like just shy of 300 shows a year. It's too many. So if you are listening to that many shows in a year, all praise be to you, because it's a lot of us talking nonsense about football. But we have a great time doing it, and the numbers have been the best ever. We've done like 6.5 million streams, I think, for the audio podcast this year, which is it's bananas. It's absolutely bananas, and it's just some blokes having a laugh, about football and celebrating the condition of being a Leeds fan, which is just amazing. No matter how hard it gets, it's amazing. So I'm always grateful for it. It never feels like work. It is a full-time job now, but it never feels like work. So we're just grateful that people tune in and enable us to do it. So yeah, just thanks. It's going well. We'll do some tweaks to the formats, I think, for next season, because I think one of the overriding feelings is I've got to the end of the season and I'm really tired. Now the playoff final has overtaken us, but I think the petering out of the season was difficult because I think we all just wanted it to end. We wanted it to end well, but we've kind of got this shot at redemption now, and everybody's like, amped up for this.
Everyone's a little bit more energized again.
Yeah. So I've had a little shot in the arm, and even though I've not been sleeping well for days now, I was like, fine, I'll just crack on, have a coffee and crack on, because the adrenaline, the excitement of it all is it's palpable, and I can't wait. So I feel like I need a few days off afterwards, but that will happen after the playoff final. But if we win, we'll celebrate it. We'll mark the occasion, but then maybe a couple of days off just to stop thinking about Leeds for a bit and just bask in that, either that nice feeling or that terrible feeling, whichever one it is. But it's been great fun. It's just been a long season, I think. And I think, do you know what? It's reflected in how the players played and the fact that they petered out a little bit towards the end of the season. Like those midweek games, it just feels relentless, doesn't it? Game after game after game. You never quite get the chance to recover or take time off from it. Whereas I think you did in the Premier League. International break comes around, you've effectively got sort of 2 weeks off. And then in the EFL, you've got midweek game, weekend game, midweek game running into the international break. So yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of Leeds, and Leeds is a very emotionally demanding club. So tiring at times, great fun. We're just really grateful. It's just awesome. So thanks a million. If you listen, watch at any time or buy any of our stuff, it's just really cool that you let us do this. So thank you.
And thank you for. I was aiming at the viewers there, but I'll say it to Dan first. Thanks for popping on. And
They know you're talking about them, not me.
It's fine. And thank you to you for watching for this long. I wasn't intending to record for this long, but here we are. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. How do you think the weekend's going to go? What's your sort of vibe going into it? And the Superstitions thing, I think that's going to be quite interesting. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe. I'm aiming for 3,500 by the final, so that could be quite nice. And I will see you later.